Yes, we're back for another episode. Taste to Consider podcast. Let me officially introduce the show. It's a Taste to Consider podcast. I'm your host, Dirk Silver, and we back for another episode. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Whew. I'm recording this episode right now, Sunday evening. And usually, I try to record the pod Friday or Saturday. But I ain't gonna lie, I was not looking. I ain't gonna say I wasn't looking forward to recording. I was just kind of drained from one of the topics that's on the list today, and the reason why I was drained from is because, like, it's a serious issue. It's a serious issue in the black, quote unquote, black community. But then this shit turned into gender wars. It turned into some gender war stuff, and I've been seeing the conversation all week on social media. Excuse me, burp number 1 and 2. I've been seeing the conversation all week on social media. And I even had the conversation with the Mentorship peer group that I'm a part of. And I'm just like, man, I'm just tired of this damn conversation. Because it is obviously not going to go nowhere. No, it's like we going in circles. People really not trying to listen or understand. Listen to understand, for one thing. Yeah, so I was kind of just like, I was kind of drained with the conversation, so I didn't really have the energy to talk about it yet. But I was like, I gotta pump this episode out on time so it can be out on Monday. So I gotta record Sunday, cause yesterday, Saturday, all I did was go to the gym and start working on the outline for the episode. So yeah, I did record and release another episode of Taste Reviews Drink Edition. That's out right now on YouTube. Shout out to all the new subscribers, old subscribers. Shout out to everybody. So the Taste Review episode is out there, and now you're listening or watching. Appreciate you. So yeah, the topic that I'm talking about was this New York Times article that came out, and I got it right here. I had to print it out. I had to outline some things that I wanted to highlight with the conversation and stuff like that. But it was a New York Times article written by Clyde McGrady, and the title of the article is "At Black Colleges, a Stubborn Gender Enrollment Gap Keeps Growing." Now, like I said, I got the article right here, and I highlighted a few things. So just offhand, though, like, the topic is a very layered topic, and it's about what the article focused on was the enrollment gap between black women and black men at HBCUs. And it's a very layered conversation when you're talking about education and the enrollment gap and, graduation numbers, all that stuff that has to do with education when it comes to the black community and the gap between black women and black men. As we all know at this point, over the past few years, black women, they have had a surge of, higher education numbers. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. but the black male numbers have been declining, and there's a lot of discussion about it. So it's a very layered conversation. There's not just no one answer for why this is happening. And that's one of the things that I see a lot of people fail to realize. But I'm going to start with the article first, and then I'll get to some of the things that I've seen, my point of view on some of the conversations that I've had in the article, and particularly the conversation that I had with the Mentorship peer group at an HBCU, a prominent HBCU. So let me start with the article. Now, I'm just going to point out some of the things that I highlighted that I thought was important or interesting. So you can find that article. It's all over the internet. It's a New York Times article. But let me start with the first thing that I highlighted. It says black men account for 26% of the students at HBCUs, down from an already low 38% in 1976, according to the American Institute for Boys and Men. There are now about as many non-black students attending HBCUs as there are black men, which is very alarming. The decline has profound implications on economic mobility, family formation, and wealth generation. Raj Chetty, a Harvard economist, who urges large data sets to study economic opportunity, has found that the income gap between America's black and white populations is entirely driven by differences in men's economic circumstances, not women's, which is interesting. Even though, it's this big surge of black women getting these degrees and stuff, and these jobs and everything, is the whole wealth of the black family is still predicated on what the black man is doing. It says the causes are many: higher college costs, the immediate financial needs of black families, high suspension rates in high school, and a barrage of negative messages about academic potential all play roles in the decline of black male enrollment and college completion. Now, there was a lot of critique about this article. A lot of people felt as though that it wasn't in depth enough, really going into why black men aren't attending college and, the reasons for that on all levels. Like I said, this is a layered conversation that has layers to the reasons why it's not happening. This is probably the only line in this article where it was pointed out that there's layers to this. Higher college costs, the immediate financial needs of black families, high suspension rates in high school, and a barrage of negative messages about academic potential all play roles in the decline of black male enrollment and college completion. So let me go to some of the other things that I had highlighted. Okay, here's one. This is a quote, right? It says, quote, "It's a perpetuating cycle," end quote, said Dr. Cheryl Holcomb McCoy, chief executive of the American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education. Quote, "If you don't see other black male educators, then it's hard for you to see yourself in that position," end quote, which definitely makes sense. We should be able to all understand that. Black educators say burdens are already distributed unfairly. Society undermines black men's beliefs in their own potential, starting from early education and continuing through professional development, said Dr. Derek Brooms, executive director of the Black Men's Research Institute at Morehouse College, an elite all-male HBCU in Atlanta. Now, this is something that, from what I've seen, the conversation that's being had on social media, is that a lot of people fail to realize, particularly black black women, and I'm not saying all black women. There's a certain group of black women that believe this. And there have been plenty of studies. Like I had studies into statistics and stuff ready to bring. But when I started seeing how the conversation was going amongst black people on social media and just hearing conversations that other people were having about this article, I was like, I'm not even going to waste my time to bring up these statistics and these studies and stuff. And I just deleted it all because I was like, if I see people already being presented with this stuff and they still finding a reason not to believe that black men are systemically hampered, profiled, biased against, whatever term you want to use, then why should I waste my time? I'm not here to convince nobody. Like, a Taste to Consider podcast is all about hearing other people's point of views, hearing my point of view. And that's what is like lost today in society. The fact that people won't listen to understand. They just want to argue. They want to argue. They want to push out their projections, their hurt, their trauma, whatever terms you want to use, and not really listen. We not really communicating with each other. We not communicating with each other properly. We not listening to understand and comprehend. All right. Dr. Broom said at this point, Morehouse may have to reevaluate its recruitment strategy, including looking abroad. Quote, perhaps there may be some black men in Canada who may want to attend, end quote. I don't know if he was being funny or not, but I mean, I think I can see why he would say that. But then at the same time, when I hear that, I don't know if I'm being defensive and taking it a little personal, or if I'm really looking at it from the point of view of why isn't Morehouse reaching out to more black males in the United States to recruit them. Whether you have like summer programs where you bring high school kids in, or you do your recruitment visits. I remember when I was younger, colleges used to come to the school and, talk about the college or whatever. But I'm not sure if they do that anymore. And I feel like if this is really important, particularly for Morehouse, which is an all-male school, and you want to keep that legacy of it being a prominent HBCU and you having black males there, why aren't you having more outreach activities for young black males to get them to come to your school? Whether you have actual current students who are like in education programs, reach out to some of the local schools to help tutor some of the kids in certain subjects and stuff like that. Just find some ways to bring, to get the local community, at least, if you don't have the resources to go outside of Atlanta or Georgia, to do outreach programs within the community where there are black men at that may need that extra help or that extra push, or they just might not know that or feel as though college is something that is available to them. All right. On campuses like Howard's, the gender disparity is understood. Women run the place. Quote, you see predominantly women out here running for positions, and then you see their friends, young women, showing up for them and supporting them, end quote. quote, is different for the men, end quote. According to students and faculty at Howard, black male students can have a difficult time finding both themselves and a community. In 2019, Calvin Hadley, then a senior advisor to Howard's president, was asked how Howard could better engage men on campus. He put together a survey of students, faculty, and staff, and then hosted several barbershop listening sessions. Something clicked. Quote, we had these very detailed, emotional conversations around manhood, around masculinity, around relationships, end quote, said Mr. Hadley, now Howard's assistant provost for academic partnerships and student engagement. Male fears can work against college attendance, students said. Fears of failure may deter black men from higher education, even as fears of letting their families down drive them permanently into the workforce. Not permanently, sorry. Even as fears of letting their families down drive them prematurely into the workforce before their earning potential can be reached. Now, that's just something, period. Like, men, period. We've been programmed to look at ourselves as being the provider and the protector. But being a black man, that is emphasized even more because it may come earlier than when it's supposed to. Depending on what type of family situation you have, you might have to work early to start supporting the family or helping to support the family. And college just isn't something that is part of the plan. It ain't part of the vision. Mr. Darby said many of his friends didn't have parents or family who attended college, or they thought the costs were prohibitive. Quote, so they were trying to find those other avenues to make money and to be successful, not thinking that college was the number one thing that was going to get you there, end quote, he said. Now, for black Americans, that's definitely something that is a big thought. That is something that is, I know from my generation, like my parents didn't go to college. I think my mother maybe took some classes at a community college, but my dad didn't go to college. Me and my brother were the first ones to go to college. So my brother, he was a bookworm. Like, he was into school. And my parents, they preached that education was important, but they weren't involved in our education. But it just so happens that my brother was just into education on his own. That was his personality. You know, he had that motivation, that drive to be into education. He was into the books. I wasn't. I was more of the all-around person, you know. Not that I wasn't intelligent, not that I wasn't into the books and stuff like that, but I like to do everything. And in elementary school and middle school, I got good grades. Didn't have no problem with the grades. When I got to high school, that was a totally different story. Now, it was other factors that played into why I wasn't as good of a student in high school as I was in elementary and middle school. But because I was a good student in elementary and middle school, I was in the little honor program or whatever in high school. Pretty much every report card was a grade below a 3.0. The only time I made the honor roll in high school is when my mom said I can only get my license if I make the honor roll. That semester or that quarter, I made the honor roll and I was able to get my license. Other than that, I was one grade below honor roll every time. I just did enough. Now, back then, I didn't know that I was, suffering from depression and anxiety. So that played a part in it as well as me chasing girls, and yeah, that was pretty much it. But the, I knew college was an option for me because I had the luxury to see shows like the Cosby Show, Different World, and stuff like that. And then also, my brother went to college. My brother's 6 years older than me, so by the time he went to college, um, he graduated high school. He graduated high school when I was in 6th grade, I believe it was. Yeah. So he was in college by the time I started middle school. So I knew that since he went to college, I had to go to college. I knew that was an option for me because of my brother, Not other than that, I don't know if I'd have went to college or not if I didn't have those examples. Now, when it was time for me to start going to college, my parents wasn't involved in the process or nothing. They didn't even talk to me about it. I was filling out the applications and stuff by myself. And if I had to pay for one of the applications, I just asked them for the money. Or maybe I had the money myself because I know I was working around that time too, around my senior year. So I probably had the money myself. But I had to pay for the applications or whatever. And, yep, I didn't get asked about it or nothing. I didn't get asked by my parents or nothing about if I was applying for colleges or not. Now, my dad, he wasn't really involved in none of that stuff, honestly. And my mom, she was involved in her own way a little bit, but they wasn't checking them to see if I did my homework or anything like that. I guess they expected that I was going to be like my brother because of how my brother was, but I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? I was my own person. And when I finally started getting acceptance letters, I got accepted into University of Maryland, College Park, and I got accepted into Bowie State University. And I applied to Howard as well. I ain't even hit back from Howard. But yeah, I got accepted into those two schools, and I made the choice to go to Bowie because it was cheaper, because I knew I had to pay for it myself. I knew I had to take out loans, and I was going to have to pay for it. So I chose to go to Bowie. My brother, he got his undergrad in Bowie State, and he went along and got his master's at Howard. So yeah, I was pretty much just like on my own doing everything. Like even when I started colleges, doing the financial aid stuff and standing in the line, making the classes, like they weren't involved at all. They weren't involved at all. So like I felt all by myself. Like college, the whole going to college and all that other stuff, that was a bad experience for me because the depression and the anxiety that I was dealing with just got worse because I didn't know what was going on with me, so I couldn't take myself to the doctor, so it just got worse. So going to school, even when I was in college, I still had a part-time job, so I didn't really participate a lot in college. I went to class, went to work, went home. The first couple of years, I wasn't doing good. I had to take classes over. Like, I just wasn't feeling it. I had no support or nothing. I was just by myself. That's why college was difficult and it was a bad time. But as I, started to get older, and I got to my junior year, but I was probably like a fourth year junior. I was there. It took me 4 years to become a junior. And that's when I started, getting stuff together. I started getting better grades. I made the dean's list a few times. And everything was fine grade-wise, but I still was by myself. I still didn't have no guidance. My parents wasn't really asking no questions. They didn't even know what my grades were. But I finished. It took me a couple more years to finish. I finished. I didn't even walk across the stage because the last thing that I had to do for my graduation requirement was to do an internship. And the internship was only offered during the summertime. So I was initially supposed to be done in 2005, but I had to do my internship. I remember talking to the school and everything. I was like, can I still walk across the stage? All I got to do is the internship. I was like, who fails an internship? But they was like, no, you got to do your internship and then you'll be able to graduate. But then that would have been 2006. So after I finished my internship the summer of 2005, I was just like, I talked to them. I was like, just send me my degree. My parents ain't even seen my degree. So as far as they know, they don't know if I graduated or not. Crazy. They don't even know if I graduated. I could be lying to them, but they don't even know. They ain't never seen my degree or nothing. But back to the article. It says as a middle schooler, Jerron Holmes, a 20-year-old sophomore, recalled thinking, quote, college? What is college? End quote, he added. Quote, I knew I just wanted a job, end quote. But in his Detroit area high school, he enrolled in a college readiness program, and it made all the difference. Quote, as a general proposition, young men are arriving on college campuses less skilled academically than women, end quote, Mr. Reeves said. Quote, that's even more true of men of color, black men, end quote. That leads to problems of completion, which are at least as significant as declining enrollment. The first year of college is crucial for male retention, and a lack of services can lead young men to feel isolated or that they don't belong, Dr. Broom said. And that's definitely how I felt at college. I felt isolated. Even though I knew people that went to Bowie State, it wasn't like I was not sociable. You know, I knew people. Was quote unquote associates or quote unquote friends with people that I still know to this day, but I still felt isolated. I didn't stay on campus. Like I said, I didn't participate in no activities and nothing because after my classes was over, I had to go home and get ready to work and go to work. So yeah. And then like just piggybacking off of the whole college experience and stuff, I remember even at one time, like my mother trying to convince me to go into the military and all that other stuff. I wasn't going into no damn military. Shit, I seen Boys in the Hood. And I remember what Trey's father said. So I was not going into the military. I was not going into the military. That wasn't something on my list. Not at all. And I remember getting older and feeling kind of like I felt offended that my mother even was putting that option out there, trying to press me to do that. And she wasn't even involved in, you know, my experience with going into college and the whole process before, while I was there and stuff. So I felt kind of offended by that. And it's crazy because one of the studies that I was going to bring up talked about how a lot of young black men are in the home and there's stigmas already out in society, and that parents perpetuate those same stigmas onto black boys as far as them being bad, being too aggressive, being not serious or unintelligent or whatever. But let me read these last couple of highlighted items. It says, those studying the challenges that young black men face are careful to avoid a battle of the sexes. Women have faced historical challenges of their own. Some people perceive female gains as a threat to men in a zero-sum battle for resources and power. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, he said he's saying in this article that, young black men are careful to avoid a battle of sexes, and he's absolutely right. Black men are tired of having these gender war conversations and stuff, but it seems as though that it keeps being pushed out there by a certain group of black women, particularly black feminists or black misandrists. And they're pushing this narrative that, there shouldn't be no issue with black men going to college and stuff like that because we benefit from patriarchy, which is absolutely a dumb way to think, because black men have no power. Just because we're men don't mean that we benefit like white men do. It's just crazy when there's absolute science, empirical data out here that shows that these things aren't accurate. And when these people are faced with these studies, this data, that they still won't believe it. They won't take into account. They're just wrapped into some type of emotional debt, whether it's a debt that was projected onto them from the whole feminist movement, or something from their past, or something from another woman's past that was projected onto them that they taking on themselves. So here's the last thing from the article that I highlighted. Quote, "We see a lot of school programs in districts that are giving up on students and giving up on black men before they even give them a chance," end quote, said Ms. Wilson. She's seen it in the male students she mentors who say their teachers don't offer much encouragement. Quote, "They expect them to be bad," end quote, she said. Quote, "They expect them to be problems," end quote. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. There's tons of studies out here on just that particular portion right there, what society has placed on black men in general. And this ain't something that is new. Like from the beginning of time, when it comes to recorded interaction with white people and black people, the focus has always been on the black man and making sure they psychologically and physically tear him down or portray him in a certain way that other people believe that he is a threat. Going back to one of the examples that first popped in my head was the Birth of Nation movie, and how that played out back in 1914, how they portrayed the black man. Shoot, even just going off of the Willie Lynch theory. And y'all know I've talked about that a lot on this podcast, the Willie Lynch theory, and how who would they always focus on attacking first? The black man. What they will buck break that black man in front of everybody to make him look weak in order for them to send a message to all the other black men and the black women that that's just if you think about the art of war or the strategy of war, what are you going to attack first? You're going to attack the enemy's defense, and that is the black man for the black community. You're going to attack that defense. That is the defense, that is the protector of the black community. So that's who you're going to attack first. Always. And it's a continuous attack on black men. And one of the most frustrating things is that you have a lot of people in the black community, black men and black women as well, a certain group of them that push these white supremacists thinking. And I got a clip. This is probably the only clip that I saved that was part of a study, and I'm gonna pull it up. I actually played this on a previous episode before when I first saw it, because I was like, this is this is crazy. Let me get it ready. All right. Here you go. Here you go right here. All right, let me cue it up because it's coming off of YouTube. I had to make sure no ads popped up. All right, here we go. Here we go with the clip right here. This was a study that they did, and it'll be explained in the clip.
There's a new study out of the Yale Child Study Center that I had to read a few times just to believe what it was telling me. The researchers recruited about 135 preschool teachers. They had them watch video footage of 4 kids playing: a black boy, a black girl, a white boy, and a white girl. And they told the teachers, their subjects, watch the video, there may be some challenging behaviors. As soon as you see something that could become challenging, hit the enter key on your keypad. Well, here's the trick. There was no challenging behavior. The researchers were using eye scan technology to see which child the teachers were looking at the most. And what they found is that the teachers, both white and black alike, spent the most time watching the black boy, waiting for bad behavior that never came. There's one more really interesting headline in this study, which comes later. The teachers were also given a 1-paragraph description to read of a hypothetical child with a stereotypical name who behaves pretty badly in class, pushes, scratches, throws toys. And some of the teachers were also given some biographical information that helped make sense of that behavior. They were told that the child lives with his mother, father has been in and out for years, they're relatively poor, the mother is depressed, works 3 jobs. Researchers wanted to know if knowing this information made the teachers more empathetic to the kid. Well, here's the shock. It did, but only if the teacher and the child were of the same race. If the teacher and the child, a white teacher and a black child, or even a black teacher and a white child, knowing that biographical information, those teachers were less empathetic towards those students. And here's why this matters. Imagine if this is true, if there's this empathy deficit in preschool, well, imagine where else that's true.
There you go right there. Now I'm going to play another clip that talks about that same study. But what was funny about what he just said at the end was there's been a new study that came out that said white people are the most least empathetic people out here. And should we be surprised? No. With their track record, we shouldn't be surprised. But let me play the other clip. Oh, man. All right, here we go. Let me pull this up.
Look at these 4 kids. These preschool teachers watched a video of them playing for a 2016 study. The study asked them to press the enter key every time they saw a behavior that could become a potential challenge. But the thing about the study is it's kind of deceptive. There's actually no misbehavior in the video. The kids are actors, and the researchers were using eye tracking software because what they really wanted to know was when teachers expect misbehavior, who are they watching? The study found that both white and black teachers spent more time gazing at black boys than other children. Black boys make up less than a quarter of the nation's preschoolers, but more than 40% of preschool suspensions. The study's lead researcher told the Washington Post that implicit biases don't begin with black men and police. They begin with black preschoolers and their teachers, if not earlier.
They begin with black. Let me read the whole quote. Implicit biases do not begin with black men and police. They begin with black preschoolers and their teachers, if not earlier. Now, let's be real. We know they talking earlier, so it happens at home. Like when you think about this whole conversation, everything really starts at the home. Everything really starts at the home. Whether, how the kids see education, how, because the Asian community ain't just letting their kid go to school and get bad grades and fuss at them and then letting it go. No, they on their ass, checking their homework, doing whatever they doing, putting them in tutoring or whatever. They probably are beating them, because I have heard plenty of stories where they have beat their kids for doing bad in school. But yeah, this stuff starts at the home. It really starts at the home. And let's not sugarcoat this. In the quote unquote black community, a lot of the abuse starts in the home. Parents calling their kids stupid MFers and all that other stuff, and you dumb, and hearing their parents maybe arguing with each other, you dumb this, you dumb that, all that. So all this stuff starts at home psychologically. And one of the things, and I'm just going to transition into the conversation I had with the mentorship peer group of the young men from the HBCU. A lot of them talked about how they feel so beaten up on. Like, it was so concerning to me that I even made a post about it. Like, just, and it was frustrating, and I just remember thinking to myself, just hearing their stories and stuff like that, that I just kept saying to myself, this sad, man, this sad. And thinking about, my own experiences and just how difficult it could be where you're not getting any type of encouragement, no validation. You feeling isolated and stuff. You feeling as though that certain things aren't an option for you. And the way society, and I feel even I feel even worse for these young black dudes today, because of the way social media is pushing stuff out here. We already feel like we got to be the protector and provider. But now the way society is and how social media is and pushing it in the relationship aspect, these young dudes feel as though they got to get to the money quick, because a black woman can be broke. A black man can't be broke. He can't be broke. He can't date broke. He can't live broke. Nothing. Because he's going to be looked a certain way. If he's not getting it personally from women, he's getting it from social media, making him feel bad about himself, making him feel like he's not enough. He not worthy. He has no value. So he gotta get to the money. College is not an option for him, because there isn't no guarantee. And with that no guarantee is debt, which is going to make you more broke. Where if you do find a good job, you got to pay them loans. So you might not have money to have the best car, have the best place, be able to take a woman out to whatever is the hot restaurant on social media today, or take her on a vacation and stuff like that. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to be a black man. That you gotta be conservative with your money, even when you have if you may have a good job and you got a nice car, or if you got your own home or a nice place or whatever. You gotta be conservative as much as you can. You might can do some nice things every now and then, but you can't take no trip every year, nothing like that, because you dealing with stuff at your job where you feel as though you being watched and micromanaged every 5 seconds, where you got to be on your P's and Q's to the point where if you make the wrong step, your income can be done. But damn, I spent all my money trying to get this nice car or to take these nice trips and go on these dates and stuff, and now I ain't got nothing in my savings. But the conversation, a lot of the young men in the mentorship peer group, they had a lot of different backgrounds, and they didn't have the traditional way of just getting to college. I remember one in particular. He said if it wasn't for a men's program that he became a part of while he was in high school, he wouldn't even have made it to Howard. he even said that he didn't even know about HBCUs. He learned about HBCUs, and he told him he asked the question, which one was the best HBCU, and it was Howard. He said, that's where I'm gonna go, and he made it there. And then, you know, it was other ones that was in high school that they didn't necessarily get the best grades, so they had to take alternate routes where they was working first and then going to community college and then made it, or some that's, you know, was able to make it to Howard, but, you know, struggled educationally or whatever because they felt isolated. They had to navigate, you know, trying to be involved and be included in the whole college atmosphere, but they struggled educationally because of that. So yeah, the conversation was frustrating. It was sad, but at the same time, they enjoyed the conversation. They liked the fact that they was able to connect even more with each other, and even with me sharing my story. So they definitely, this was probably one of the best days since, you know, I've been a part of the group, and they enjoyed it very much. And we said we was going to continue the conversation, you know, because it's definitely an important conversation. It's not a conversation that is you can just have in a couple of minutes or an hour or some days. This conversation is very important because this has been going on for a long time. And just thinking, like, I was just thinking on my own experience and some of the experiences that they talked about, and thinking about that, you know, this has been a conversation for a while in the Black community, going back to W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, with Booker T. Washington, you know, promoting the trade vocation, and the Black community getting their economics together, their money together, and, you know, earning the white man's respect that way. But W.E.B. Du Bois, he was of the aspect of higher education and civil rights and stuff like that, and demanding white people's respect. So this ain't something that has been new. Like, one of the things that, you know, Black men have definitely always wrestled with is going to college or doing a trade. The ones who were actually interested in going to college or trade. Like, if I could go back, I would do it. I would get a trade first and then go to college after getting that trade, so I can always have a way to make money and I could pay my way through college. I wish I could go back and do that. But and I'm all for, you know, getting the trade. I don't feel as though trade is a bad thing. And that's the problem a lot of times with our community. We see people having trades like plumbers and HVAC people, stuff like that, that's a bad thing. But it's plumbers and HVAC people and other people who do trades, carpentry and all that other stuff. They be making money, 6 figures and all that. So one thing when it comes to the to certain people in the Black community is, and what's being pushed a lot with Black women is how important degrees are, and how many degrees you have, and all that other stuff. This elitist mentality and stuff, and that's some of the arguments that have been going on, and the arguments have been getting ugly. Like, certain groups of Black women have been being very mean. I'm using the term mean because this is the term that was explained to me from some of the young Black men that was part of the mentorship group, that they were saying that a lot of the young Black women have just been being mean with the whole conversation on how, you know, it's like a competition type stuff going on. But I know I got some other clips just highlighting like some of the feelings and the way that people have been feeling about all this stuff. Let me see. I know I got this one clip right here. This one is kind of long. It's like a 6-minute clip, but it's a young black man expressing himself on the whole topic, and I'll play the clip even though it's 6 minutes, but I might pause and stuff throughout it to get some feedback on it.
I don't see nobody talking about this topic, bro. And trigger warning right now, because this might come across a little rash or a little hasty. I don't really care, because it needs to be said. And this conversation about the whole black men going to college thing, this is just turned into, I could tell exactly what it's turned into. It just turned into we're about to berate, degrade, and bash the black men parade. Just like y'all do all 7 days of the week, twice on Saturday, because I got time. Look, bro, first of all, the reason why black men don't value or they just simply don't want to, y'all know that starts at home, right? Let's go ahead and act real quick, right? Let's go ahead and just start the scene. Jarquavius Marshawn Jones, sit your stupid ass down. That's how like 50 to 60% of black women are talking to their black sons. Citrus, oh, you look just like your damn daddy. That's how y'all be talking to y'all black sons, bro. And then y'all wondering why they're not emotional intelligent. Then you wonder why they grow up mad and angry. So then, what's your next outlet? You're going to put them in sports because you know that now they're 10, 11, 12, they're getting a little bit too big. Your little whooping's not doing nothing. So now you have to put them in a contact sport in order so they can try to emotionally regulate. Oh yeah, I'm about to put you in football. I'm about to put you in basketball. You need to get in some sports. That'd be the first thing that happens, bro. And I live that, bro. That's literally what happens. And then number two, y'all act like going to school, like black women. Stop this whole classism superiority complex. Anybody can go to school if they are taught the right skills. The last 20, 30 years since the movie The Barbershop, since Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married, since all the little Madea plays, has been black women be independent, don't need no man. Black women go get your money, don't worry about no man, don't rely on no man out here.
One of the things that's always been out there is that white women go to college to find their husband. Black women go to college. Black women go to college to not need a man. It's not funny, but there's been something that has been out there for a while. And I'm gonna go back to the clip, but one of the things I had to stop it because you can obviously hear how angry he is, how emotional he feels about this topic. And he spoke on the fact that because he dealt with this. And this is coming from both sides, black men and black women. Yeah, I'm not trying to, rag on black women. This is coming from both sides. This whole article was supposed to be about the education gap, the enrollment gap with black men and black women. And that's what was supposed to be focusing on. How can we get black men to take their education more seriously? How can we get black men in college? But it turning into gender wars. It just straight turning into gender wars. Like T.K. Kirkland always say, who raised you? I'm looking at these conversations on social media, out here on the streets and stuff like that, and I'm like, who hurt you? Who hurt you? From both sides. Both sides. Who hurt you? Because this whole conversation turning into gender wars is all about the hurt that each side has felt from each other. And we go in circles. We continuously have topics within the black community on things that we need to work on or fix. And it always come back to gender wars. Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
got no man. That's what all Generation X and all the millennials told y'all. So y'all naturally grew up and y'all whole focus was, I ain't about to go to college or I'm about to become an esthetician. I'm about to do something. I'm about to get some money and I'm about to get away from black men. The reason why y'all don't get targeted as much because y'all are not a threat. Look what happened to Malcolm X, unalived. Marcus Garvey, unalived. Bob Marley, unalived. MLK, unalived. Because when black men get education, we are a big threat. You know why? Because black men, we have the societal pressure to take our family with us, and we're not seen as valuable until we give back to the community. Black women, on the other hand.
But that's what I was saying, though, just to piggyback off his point. They're attacking the foundation of the black community. The black community has always, I've said this plenty of times before, the black community is a matriarch community. Why is it a matriarch community? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you see each and every other community. Who runs the household? And when I say run, I'm not saying control. Y'all know what I mean. It is the man. You don't have these problems in all these other communities. But with the black community, it's particularly always been a matriarch community. The system, whether you believe in it or not, pushes these things onto our black women, and a lot of the black women are indoctrinated into these same messages and these same thoughts of black men that have been pushed on them by the system. And this is by design. It is strategic. This is war. No matter how you believe, everybody think war is getting your guns together, going over to another country and bombing and all that other stuff. There's different types of wars. We've been in a psychological war for centuries, and they continue to attack us that way, and we continue to feed into it. Black men as well. We get caught up into it, and we need to step up. We need to step up. We need to man up. But the first line of defense for the black community is the black man. So that's who they're going to attack every single time. And they're going to keep it that way. Because if we rise up, the power structure in our community is a big threat to the system. Point blank and period.
Women in general, that's not a responsibility for y'all. Y'all are the weaker vessel and the more emotional vessel. So also y'all can get further while being more emotional and have less emotional regulation. Hence is why you see a black woman on a register or a black woman in places of customer service, and she can have the nastiest attitude. But if a black man of her same counterpart has their same attitude, he's not even getting, they're not taking him serious in an interview. He's not getting the job. So we actually have to try harder than everybody. And this conversation is proving exactly that. So, and then the third thing, these teachers since 2020 have been on this app telling you single black moms about how the black man's at reading and comprehension level is falling behind. Who are most of the single parents? Black women. So if we're going to sit up here and berate and bash black men, let's shed some light on the full story and what's really happening in that home. They're being woke up. Hurry up and get y'all ass up. Go to school. Da, da, da. That's how black men are being woken up. Yes, don't get me wrong. Yes, is it happening in the black women? Yes, are there black women who are jealous of their daughters? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, black men are going to harbor that a lot more because we're expected to help the same mom and the same granny, the same auntie, whoever we're staying with. We're required to turn around at 17 and 18 to help them. Also, black women, for women in general, it's acceptable for society, for socially acceptable for women to be broke. Black men have to have money. We have to have money. Men have to be able to provide. And if you're not providing, you're seen as broke, destitute. You're not worth my time. That's what y'all have been telling us. So now it's all of a sudden, it's a surprise when junior year come around and SATs come around and apply for college come around and FAFSA applications come around. We don't know how to do none of that. that. We don't have an ecosystem to help us do none of that. Do y'all understand that? And then, like I said, there's no emotional regulation. You didn't have any.
And just straight up, like I said on the last show, I mean, that's why us as black men, older black men, we got to step up and start, whether we creating our own groups or joining other groups or even just mentoring just an individual. We got to start stepping up and putting ourselves in position so these young black men don't feel like this. Every household is different, and whatever is going on with your child's mother and your child's father and all that other stuff, that I don't know. Like, I don't know. I mean, that is a continuous thing that is going on and continue going on. I don't know. I don't know how to remedy that stuff right there. But when it comes down to it, the number one remedy for all of this shit really is, it starts in the household. So, but people ain't trying to work together because, once again, it comes back to somebody's hurt. And I'm going to make you pay. I'm angry. You going to feel my wrath, or I'm angry. I ain't going to be around. Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Like, we immature as hell. We acting immature as hell out here.
Black men in your hood, in your society, to see them pay rent, pay bills, and do this, especially legally. So, of course, we're not going to be able to achieve the same things that y'all have, though, while being in the same household or in the same communities. Don't you get it? It's very simple. If you have your same-sex counterpart in the home playing their part, it's going to be way easier to do that because you've seen it. Humans are visual creatures. We're creatures of habit. So if we didn't have a black man there for 18 to 21 years, why would we just wake up junior year and just be able to start doing all this magnificent stuff y'all talking about? We keep talking about college and graduate programs. We have to start at K through 8 first. We ain't even about to get to high school. Let's start at that. Black men have the highest dropout levels for middle school and high school, but nobody's talking about that. Who's responsible? The same black women that were responsible for laying down, having said kids with these men. So we're not about to sit up here and just try to bash black men, or they just simply don't want to. Well, in therapy, the first thing that they teach y'all black women is y'all the highest, y'all number one in therapy, and y'all number one in degrees. Well, you should know that that's not the real answer. Clearly, there's a deeper answer why he just doesn't want to. It's because nobody has seen him wanting to. Nobody has pushed him to want to. And black men are seen as, you need to get money first, ask questions later. That's how success is marketed towards black men. That's why most black men, we do grow up listening to rappers. We do grow up listening to athletes. We do grow up listening to entertainers, because that's what's marketed to us. What's marketed to black women is be strong, independent, and do not rely on a man for nothing. And when you get your wealth, keep it to yourself. So yes, it's completely different. Black men are a threat to the white infrastructure, because when we get success, they know that we're going to bring our wives with us. We're going to bring our kids with us. We're going to bring our bros with us. We're going to put everybody on. We're going to put the community on. When y'all...
All right. Well, that was a clip. And I wanted to play that just so you could see, like, how serious it is to a lot of people and how emotional that is making people out here, particularly black men. And I got another clip from another black guy, and he's talking about the situation. Honestly, I haven't seen any clips and because I'm not trying to make it a biased situation because I'm a black man. But like I said, I'm just trying to point out what the things that people are saying and stuff like that. I would be lying if I said that I didn't agree with some of the stuff. I definitely agree with some of the stuff. But I definitely know that this ain't no one-sided issue. It comes down to all of us. All of us is at fault. Straight up. All of us are at fault. But here we go. Here go the other clip.
Rates and their ability to go to college. I just want black women to stop bragging about being the most indoctrinated group in America. I don't see what's so good about going to a university and getting a degree that is not in STEM 92% of the time. Most of your degrees are in psychology and sociology. Imagine having those degrees and still being manipulated into becoming single mothers. The highest single motherhood rate in America. The highest abortion rates in America, accounting for 48% of all the total abortions in the United States. The highest eviction rates in America. The highest obesity rates in America. The biggest failures when it comes to parenting in America. The truth is, the black men that are being brought up in these single mother households are not being raised to be men. Black women are trying to outsource it by sending them into physical contact sports. You can't outsource a father. And I think y'all should start prioritizing that. You should also prioritize that for your daughters, because maybe they wouldn't be manipulated into going into 50K student debt and then graduating and getting a job that's 30K a year and then begging the government for financial assistance afterwards.
See, this is stuff that's going on, and it's just fuel. It's just fuel to the fire. It's fuel to the fire. What I would say about something that he talked about was the outsourcing of fathers. I can see where he's coming from, but I've seen plenty of people rave about their stepfathers and just piggybacking on the other video. And you talking about how, parents put their kids into sports and thinking that's going to be, because some of the conversation that I've seen on social media has been about, I've seen some black women saying, stop putting your kids into sports and put them into find some real programs or something for them, something like that. And I would just say this from my experience. At one point when I was in Boys and Girls Club playing baseball, I had this one coach. I don't remember his name, but he played he had a big impact on me because he was always encouraging me. He was always, making sure I was good. He was really like invested into me when it came to baseball. And I never had that before, coming from, a black man. Even though my dad was in the house, me and my dad just didn't have that type of relationship. And even outside of the playing sports, I also had other black males that played a big impact on my life. And I know I wouldn't be who I am and where I am if it wasn't for them. Now, them I can remember their names. That's when I was in the church. Joaquin, David, Steve, Kenny, Dominique, those older black men, they played a big impact in my life. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be the leader that I am today. I wouldn't feel comfortable challenging things. I wouldn't feel comfortable asking questions, coming up as a kid and always being silenced for asking a question, or quote unquote, as your parents or other older adults will say it, as challenging. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't feel as comfortable as I am to still, challenge things and ask questions and have a critical thinking mindset, and just not be a damn follower. So that outsourcing, it's beneficial. And that's the problem. And that's why it needs to be more of that. Like as life happens, people move on and stuff like that. Once I lost them and that influence in my life, that's when I started struggling more mentally and stuff. And even now, my mentor that I have now, like, he's played a big part in my life. Shit. I wouldn't have gone to therapy back 13 years ago at the age of 30. I wouldn't have started going to therapy. I wouldn't have started healing. I wouldn't have started feeling more comfortable and confident in myself again. Shit, I wouldn't even be doing this today. podcasting, writing my blog, speaking about mental health, and being a part of that mentorship peer group if it wasn't for him. So, and I don't understand why that's such a big thing, like that stepdaddy thing, and like there's really a group of men out here that say that being somebody's stepdad is being weak and stuff like that. And I'm trying to figure out where that narrative came from. I need to start looking into if there's is there like studies or stuff on that. I can definitely understand you don't want to just be somebody stepdaddy because the woman is using you. But I mean, if you being a mentor to somebody, if you dating a woman with a child, then that should be naturally what your duty should be, period. But yeah, I don't know. It's just so many conversations out here and counter arguments and all that other stuff. Just like even the last video when the guy was talking about how, you know, the most educated is the black women, but then your sons is your black sons is having issues with school and illiteracy and all that other stuff, which I do agree to some degree, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what I'm saying, where the father at? And I don't know what, I do know of women who don't like having the father around and all that other stuff. So I do know that as a component. That's why I said this conversation, this topic is so layered because everybody's experience is different. Everybody's perception of it is different. And some people just don't want to see nothing past their hurt or their trauma. And it's just, it's just not good. It's just not good. I mean, let me see if I got something else on this topic. Just, I want to go through some of the stuff. Because I know. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with the coaching. Because coaching is part of mentoring. When, you know, I learned discipline. I learned good sportsmanship and stuff like that by playing sports from my black coaches and stuff. So, you know, it's not a bad thing. I can understand, you know, you trying to just push your kid into sports because you don't know how to discipline him, or you don't want to discipline him, and you thinking that that's going to control his quote unquote anger or his aggression and stuff like that. I understand why people think that that's an option or whatever, but there are other options like therapy and counseling and stuff like that, or even just being there. Sometimes people be thinking their kids are acting out because they bad. No, they may be acting like that because they trying to get your damn attention. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot. But from just my experience and just understanding people and getting older and wiser, like a lot of these parents out here got their own emotional and mental stuff going on with them, and they just aren't equipped to raise children because they didn't get it from their parents, and they passing down the same thing to their kids. I mean, shoot, same thing that, you know, I want to say most black families are like, you know, we've all came from most of black families, or people in black families had to pull themselves up by their bootstraps just based on how society has treated us. But we gotta start getting this conversation away from the gender war stuff and how hurt you are and all that other stuff, and actually get down to, you know, what actually matters. Are we gonna get there? I don't know. I hope so, but it look, the way social media is amplified stuff, it don't seem like it's gonna get there. I'm sorry. But yeah, that study that I was talking about with the white people, it says, new study, white people lack empathy across the socioeconomic spectrum. Apparent empathy gap among white Americans shows up on questions of both race and economics, studies find. Hey, I ain't surprised. Oh, let me see. But yeah, that's speaking of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, that's been another main argument with this topic from certain black women, saying that, we both part of the same system and we able to do it, so why y'all not able to do it? And it's just like the studies that I played from jump, and just thinking about the school to prison pipeline. That is a thing. Like, they didn't just make that term up. That is a thing. The school to prison pipeline is a real thing. And I came across, it's funny because I had to go find this clip. I seen this clip like way before this article even came out. So I'm going to play it. So I did save a couple of clips.
I feel like you got to have money as a man. So we'll step out and we'll do something to get money fast. As far as our sisters, they'll sit back and they'll go to school. They don't mind being broke because they see the larger picture. As men, sometimes we don't have that luxury of seeing the bigger picture because we have to act for right now. I got to feed these babies right now. I got to pay the rent right now. I got to make sure my girl good right now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that may be some short-sightedness on our part, though, because
exactly
seeing the big picture, women may be broke, but they have resources and they have support.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm in school. That's a good cause. A lot of people, oftentimes we don't support black men when they're in school.
Yeah.
There's an expectation for a nigga to provide.
Right.
As soon as a nigga take any stride toward independence, you should be able to provide.
Mm-hmm.
That's a negative stereotype we should have, but we should also not be coddling these men.
Mm-hmm.
We should be supporting these men. We shouldn't support them only when they come home. There's some fault lines in the black community, dog.
Yeah, and that was a short clip. That was a short clip. That was all I could find from that actual conversation, but it just speaks more to the topic or whatever. Like, it really is a thing where it's easier for black women to have that support. And like I say, I had to work when I was going to college. I had to work so I can pay my car insurance and had to pay my other little bills. And I just had to have money for myself. I didn't have, like, I wish I could have just went to school. Even my brother, I think when my brother was in college, he was working. So yeah, that's just what we had to do. We had to work while we was in school. I wish I could have went to college and not had to work. I would have been more involved in college. I'd have had more time to do my homework and stuff. But like I said, go to school, go to class, and then go home and get ready for work. And I was working from like 4 to 10 o'clock at night and had to go to school still the next day and do my homework and all that other stuff. Like, it was a lot. Like, for a young dude, man, it was rough. I wish I didn't have to do that. But yeah, it is what it is. I can't believe I'm still talking. I knew this was going to be a majority of the conversation, but yeah, I've been spending too much time on this. And I don't want no long episode. So let me move on. So just in the context of all this stuff and black man, black woman, how they do certain things in their life, let's move on to Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, NBA player, 23-year-old Anthony Edwards. And he's been going through his paternity suits and stuff like that. 23 years old, got like 4 or 5 kids. And he recently went through another paternity case, and he was ordered to pay child support. It was $5,000 a month. And he went ahead and just paid the whole thing up front. He was allowed to pay, this is the report, he was allowed to pay the whole child support up front, all at once. And it came up to $1,080,000, 18 years worth of payments. And like I said, the Bama only 23 years old. So there's not too many layers to this conversation. Like the most recent paternity case, the girl that he had the child with is 40 years old, 39, 40. Either way, she way older than him. So it's not too layered for me in this conversation. Let's start with Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, he obviously has no sexual discipline. He's very immature. To be 23 years old, whether you got money or not, you shouldn't be running around having all these damn kids at that age. And then having the mindset that you're not even going to take care of them. And when you know that you were going raw with this girl, with this woman, grown woman. So now moving on to the grown woman. You already knew how this dude was rocking, how he's out here. You knew how he was going with his other kids and his other paternity cases. I mean, he was having kids while he was in a full-blown relationship. Every time I see Anthony Edwards and I hear him talk, I be like, this dude right here is a clown. So, you 39, 40 years old and you don't have enough maturity or wisdom to know not to sleep with this dude and he wasn't going to take care of the kid. But then it could be looked at as though that you only did this to get a payday. And that's pretty much that is pretty much the narrative on her. So this right here is an example of how we got here to this article, how we getting here to these statistics, how we getting here to this anger from young black men and young black women. These type of situations right here. I mean, what can you say? What else can you say? I mean, this is what you got right here. Like, this is a classic example of how we got here with this article. Classic example. How did we get here? How do we keep getting back to this point? From situations like this. It's not funny, but it's just like we are our own worst enemy. Straight up, our own worst enemy. And we will continue to be. And that's why I'm just like, I hope that things going to change with our community, but I'm not too confident in that. And I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime. I hope it does. But it's just like that question is keep coming back around. Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Moving on to that. Last episode, I talked about Phylicia Rashad, and I played that clip when she was talking about, how the women in Hollywood and the fashion trends are too revealing. And so when that video went out on social media and stuff like that, she was getting backlash for that. She was getting backlash. Excuse me, burp number 3. Burp number 4. She was getting backlash from that from women. Can you believe that? I ain't surprised, but like Phylicia Rashad, I don't know her personally, but from what she portrays and what she always portrayed, one of the most beautiful, graceful women out here. Black women out here. You see, we keep coming back to this Howard connection. She was a dean at Howard. But, yeah. Other women was arguing against the things that she was saying. But, I mean, like I said last episode, like the whole thing now is, you got these women out here that are pushing prostitution. Like, these young girls are looking up to some of these social media influencers and stuff like that, not realizing that some of these women are full-blown prostitutes. Like, I'm older, so I'm used to being down in DC, going to the club and driving down certain streets and seeing the prostitutes walk up and down the street wearing certain clothes or whatever. And the clothes that they was wearing on the street is the clothes that some of these, well, majority of these influencers wearing on social media is the same thing. This is new prostitution. They don't have to walk the street no more when you can just pop up on social media. It's better advertisement. It's better marketing. You can straight prostitute on social media. You ain't got to walk up and down the sidewalk no more. I ain't got to see you walking up and down K Street or New York Avenue and whatever streets it was down in D.C. And some of them on New York Avenue wasn't really women, but yeah. So this is full-blown prostitution. Prostituting on the internet, and this is what young black women are looking up to. They think this is cool. They think this is cute. Like, chicks be going into restaurants wearing see-through shit, outfits, bodysuits, all type of things you can think about. Like, it's just crazy. Like, they really going at Phylicia Rashad for saying that the women are too revealing today. And it's funny because Erykah Badu, one of her recent performances, I forgot what the performance was. I think it was at some type of it was at some award show or something. And she had wore that suit, and that suit showed a protruding butt and protruding breast or whatever. And I felt like she was making fun of these BBL chicks. Cause Erykah Badu, her personality, she gonna make fun of you. She gonna make fun of something. And I just felt like that's what she was doing. And it's just crazy, like, man, oh my goodness. Maybe I need to start saying, maybe when I pray at night, I need to start saying a prayer for the black community, because I just don't know what else to do. That's one of the reasons why I was searching for a mentorship in peer group. And I'm glad that, I found one and I was invited to join it and be a part of it or whatever, because I felt as though at this point, doing all this talking is kind of a waste. I need to start touching the people more. And, I need to get out there in the community, in the streets, because, like, if it's just going to be talking and protesting and walking up and down the street, we shall overcome it. It ain't going to do too much. We really got to get out here and touch the people. Like, thinking back to, the Black Panther Party when they first started, and they was providing breakfast for the young kids and stuff like that. And they was in the streets touching the community and stuff like that. Because everybody talking. And protesting was cool back then. Well, let me say this. The marching was cool back then. But that marching now ain't the same how it was back then. Protesting is cool, but it has to be an organized protest, and a protest that it really is going to make an impact. Because we like to do these little rinky-dink protests where we market them on social media. We're going to stop going to Walmart for 5 days, or we're going to pick this day and we're not going to buy any merchandise from these stores or whatever, but then we go back to doing it the next day, or we was doing it the day before. We not even going back to our history and looking at the real protests when they did the Montgomery bus boycott and stuff. They did that jump for like over a year. Straight up did that for over a year. They wasn't getting on them buses. They was actually using community to drive each other, take each other to work, pick each other from work, and all that other stuff. Like, we do this symbolic stuff. Like, the black community today, we so caught up into the symbolic stuff, particularly when it comes to political matters. So that was a great segue, and we can move on to Cory Booker's ass. Cory Booker did his 25-hour standoff, or whatever you wanted to call it, in the House of Congress. And I'm just like, Black people, man, we get. Now I'll say this: I'm not a registered Democrat or a registered Republican. I was a registered Democrat from the time that I could register for it up until after Obama's first term. After that, I became a registered independent. I don't want to be affiliated with neither party because when it comes down to it, both parties are the same damn thing, and the people who support them pretty much be on the same damn stuff. It just be all over the place. It's like you're rooting for a team. Redskins, Cowboys, Tar Heels, Duke, Red Sox, Yankees. It's never about actually getting something done. Cory Booker ass did all that performative stuff, knowing his ass is up for election and trying to place himself in line for the 2028 election, but still voting while he in Congress on stuff that has nothing to do with the black community and further taking us away from actually getting what we're owed. And I'll just leave it at that. I ain't got time for that performative, symbolic crap. If y'all, and this is the problem with the black community and what Malcolm always said, we're politically immature, we're politically ignorant. Look up the record of these politicians that y'all keep applauding. I ain't no Trump fan. I don't care about no Trump. I don't care about none of these politicians. All I care about is myself, my family, and my people. And we need to start getting together and focusing and doing research. We don't do no type of research on nothing. No research. We got a whole phone where we can easily just do a quick little Google search and shoot, all the AI out here right now, you ain't even got to type nothing in. You can just say it. But it's just like, we just get so caught up into our emotions. We get caught up into performative and symbolic stuff that don't mean nothing and would just give us a good little dopamine rush, and then we moving on to something else. Damn Cory Booker. Man, please go look up his voting record. Please go look up his voting record. I'm getting a little past the time than what I wanted to go. So I'm going to play this last clip, man. This is coming back around. TK Kirkland. This is a little clip that I came across that I wanted to, try to play and just speak on a little bit. And here we go. I'll say the other stuff for next episode. It ain't going nowhere.
Wait till God willing you get 40. You don't become a man until you're 42. This is my opinion. Okay. I tell people why. Because you need experiences. You need wisdom. And everything up to 40 is just rehearsal. Just rehearsal. After that, the real shit starts. You're gonna make so many mistakes. You're gonna learn so much about life in the game.
That's deep.
And you apply it to the rest of your life. And you look forward to peace of mind. You look forward to, by that time you're gonna deal with death sometimes. Your mother, your father, someone that you love. And then you start really appreciating life. You cut the radio up just to hear the tires on the road. That's music to you. You someday look out your window, you see the trees blowing. You appreciate that birds. See dogs walk.
Small things.
It's the small things you appreciate so much. And as you get older, and you understand it, you only want to rock with certain people because their energy is different, right? As you get older, you become universally connected. You become more inclined to power. You become more inclined to knowledge, but don't let knowledge make you bitter. See, getting knowledge to the black man only makes us bitter because we really don't run shit. See, it's all myth when you think you really run shit. And them motherfucking white people got this shit. The goal is to get your bread, take care of your loved ones as much as you can, get a little piece of the pie, if you can get it, and get the f*** out the way. Because until we start changing laws, we ain't got no power, dog.
Yeah, I feel him on that. I wouldn't necessarily say the age of 42. I would say probably 40. I would say, yeah, I can get that at 40, or even after the age of 35 as a man. You start seeing things totally different. The perspective changes, your goals change. Um, and I'm 43, and right now it's just how I want to enjoy certain things is totally different. Like I don't care about the club and party stuff no more. Like my enjoyment comes from trying some new whiskeys, going to a speakeasy, a nice restaurant, smoking a cigar, chilling, listening to some music, out back in my backyard, um, grilling, back there fire pit, smoking a cigar, reading a book, in the gym, you know, go to a nice little place every now and then, travel wise or whatever. I ain't trying to be around that ghetto ish no more. I ain't trying to be around no arguing and no. I ain't trying to be around that dumb ish no more. I'm not trying to be around it no more. You know what I'm saying? I want to invest my money into some things. Look at some stocks. Out here in the community, touch the people, help some people out. You know, um, work on some creative things that I've always wanted to do, stuff like that. Watch a good movie. Like I don't. Most men tend to be simple, and that's where I'm at now. And I'm just not trying to be around no dumb stuff, no hating stuff, no jealousy stuff, no competing stuff. If it arises in certain spaces, what I'm saying, I'm not trying to have the straight comfortable life. I know life will bring you ups and downs, twists and turns and stuff like that, and I'm prepared for that. I just want to conceit. I want to have them be of the mindset when those situations come that is not something that I want to run away from or is afraid to face and stuff like that. I want to be able to look at these situations and see it as, this is a growth opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to evolve as a man. This is an opportunity for me to learn something, to gain wisdom, to share that wisdom with somebody else. I just don't want to be, I know that I want to be in the position to keep being able to make decisions on the best decisions for my needs and and how I want my life shaped. Even when a roadblock and stuff comes, I still have the decision on how my mindset is while I'm going through it, and how I'm going to look at it at the end of it. Like he said, I'm not trying to be bitter about no situation. I'm not trying to still be caught up into past quote unquote hurts and traumas and stuff like that. I just want to be able to just move forward. Just always on the terms that I'll be all right and I'm going to move forward. But that's it for this episode. Like I said, I ain't want to go too long on this episode, but I'll be back next week because I ain't even get to all the topics. And even though that I spent a lot of time on that New York Times article in this whole conversation period, it's plenty of more things for me to say, plenty more stuff for me to talk about. But like I said, this whole New York Times article is about education and enrollment and the gap between black women and black men, and the whole focus of black men not enrolling into college. But it continued to turn into gender wars. It like I said, TK Kirkland asks, who raised you? I'm asking, who hurt you? Who hurt you? Because the whole conversation is immature as hell. It's becoming immature as hell. Like, it's just all over the place. We keep going in circles. People are not trying to listen. People are not trying to listen to understand. They're not trying to comprehend. It's just all about a lot of these conversations are turning into how hurt I am, or I want to point fingers because I've been hurt by a black man, or I've been hurt by a black woman. And it's just totally going away from what the conversation is supposed to be about. Straight immature conversations. It's just what it is. But I'm your host, Derek Silver. I'll be back for another episode. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done it already. Make sure you share. You know, liking, sharing, all that good stuff helps it get out there to more people. I appreciate all the new subscribers. I appreciate all the old subscribers, all the people who are still here. I appreciate you. And I'll be back for another episode. I'll see you when I see you.